Good morning to you, Lagos. Good morning to you, Nigerians. This is On Record, where every word matters. My name is Oyinpriye Krumale. Now, the eyes of Nigerians are focused, fixed, sharply gazing on the activities and the man of the moment, President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, most especially in its economic policies, its economic actions. Nigerians are, I believe, would say, anticipating the economic actions, the economic policies that the government is going to take. We know that the subsidy removal came not really as a shocker to Nigerians. However, we know that even though they were not unexpected of that particular policy and that action, they were still dazed by the immediacy of that particular policy. However, lots of Nigerians needed the policy to go themselves, but what seemed to put them off is the way and manner the current administration is handling it. Whilst our conversation today on record would not be completely situated on the policy removal of fuel subsidy, we'll be taking a look and hopefully setting the economic agenda for the Asiwaju Bola Ahmed administration. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed, while campaigning to become president, presented his plans to a group of stakeholders in various town hall meetings across the country, where he itemized his administration's path to economic recovery if elected. He had noted that before economic recovery could be achieved, the nation must be secured, stating that to achieve the economy we seek as a country, we must resolve the present security issues. In one of his presentations, when he was hosted by the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, he said his core belief is that the private sector must be the prime driver of the Nigerian economy and the Nigerian economic progress. However, the government establishes the framework within which the private sector must operate. If that framework is sound, the private sector will flourish. If the framework is frail or incomplete, then the private sector will struggle. However, there are critical sectors that the average Nigerian has held as a yardstick to measure the government's performance in the economic sense of it. These sectors are power, health sector, agricultural sector, transportation, education, health, manufacturing, and the creation of jobs for the teeming unemployed youths in the country. It is on this backdrop that we will be setting the economic agenda for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He harped on many sectors of the economy, but Nigerians want to know if he has the political will to achieve this. And of course, before them, immediately after his inauguration, the president said he hits the ground running. Of course, most people have seen it from the lengths, talking about people who are most prepared for the job, and perceive Bola Ahmed Tinubu as one who knows what to do. And of course, Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians, and I dare say, are not in doubt of that. We take a breather here, but before then, we will be having a conversation today with a policy consultant and a policy analyst, Gbolahan Olojede. He's an expert in his own right. We will be looking at this and setting the agenda for the president. We're going to break briefly, and when we return, we'll jump into the middle we commence our conversation. It's on record where every word matters. Do stay with us.
If it's public opinion, expert analysis, information that matters to you, we have it on record. Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. on High Impact 102.1 FM. Call us 0700-1021-1021. WhatsApp 0907-224-5018.
Welcome to On Record.
Every word matters.
What
want to do is to take Nigeria from consumption to production.
My name is Mr. Innocent Chuboma. I started by trading on motorcycle spare parts.
They really ask, how much is the Nigerian life worth?
Policing is everybody's business, not the business of the men on uniform alone.
We will establish student loan 4 years course. Must be 4 years course.
When you dispense, a pharmacist dispenses a drug to a patient, the name of the drug must be written on the envelope.
On Record is a 45 minutes program where we discuss the actions, inactions of government, ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as business and health affairs that shape our worldview.
Join us 9 a.m. every weekday on your urban lifestyle station, High Impact 102.1 FM. On Record.
Every word matters.
Are you looking for an avenue to blast your brand? Why not let us be your detonator at High Impact Radio 102.1 FM with Got You Covered. For advert placement, sponsorship, partnership, call us on 0706 393 5694 0915 958 1881 0902 745 3931 or send an email to info@highimpactstudio.com.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. This is On Record, where every word matters. I have the policy consultant and policy expert joining us on the program this morning, Bola Olojede. Good morning, sir, and many thanks for joining us this morning on the program.
Good morning, and thanks for having me on the program.
It's always a pleasure having you on the program. Mr. Bola Olojede, we know as a policy consultant and a policy expert, someone who is even a colossus in that regard. We know on your own you have been looking at the new administration, the president, and of course, when he gave his inauguration, his policy concerning economy and the economy of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, how he intends to transform it. So I will like you first of all just to ask, what did you see when he gave his inauguration speech and he was touching on different aspects? Then he touches on the economy of Nigeria. What excites you the most about his speech, and what did you see with regards to economy?
Okay, he had mentioned a number of things related to the economy, and they are all fantastic. He spoke about GDP growth. Of course, recognizing the unemployment situation in the country. So he spoke to the fact that if we grow the GDP as we're supposed to grow it, it will help to address issues of unemployment. That is a factual statement and a recognition of the unemployment status in the country. He spoke about budgetary reform, also another very critical part. A case in which a significant amount of our budget goes into the recurrent expenditure, and we barely have enough to deal with capital expenditure is a serious matter. The proportion of our budget that goes into servicing debt and issues such as that are things that require certain level of reforms. So that is also right down on the right alley. He spoke about industrial policy. Under the industrial policy, we're going to become, or we should steer the country in the direction of becoming a productive country, a country that not only exports agricultural product or any other primary product like crude oil, but a country that adds value to those products via industrialization. It is in the course of adding value that you are able to get more from those productions. A very good example is a report in the papers this week, which says that Africa produces 75% of the world's cocoa bean, the cocoa itself.
Yes.
But we only take 5% of the profit.
5%.
We produce 75%, but we make 5% of the profit. Those are the kind of gaps that industrialization will help to fill, so that we're not exporting cocoa beans, but we're exporting chocolate or some other value-add product, and not crude oil, but also exporting refined product as well. That is value addition. That is industrialization. He spoke about electricity. I believe that must be in recognition of the fact that electricity in itself has a role to play in industrialization. If you're going to drive the right level of industrialization, there must be electricity to drive it, as well as to bring comfort to, small and medium-scale businesses as well as households. We all need the electricity. He spoke about multiple taxation and dealing with the issue of multiple taxation and other investment inhibitors. And we all saw how the stock market reacted to that the next working day. Exactly. It was amazing. The next working day, the stock market reacted and had gains that we have not seen in 10 years for a single day. That was the impact of that. We also spoke about making it possible for investors to repatriate their profits. We are all aware of what is going on with IATA and Nigeria, where airlines have not been able to repatriate their profits from the country because of unavailability of dollars. He spoke about infrastructure, he spoke about agri, about fuel subsidy, about monetary policy, and also about foreign policy.
Thank you very much. Sorry that I had to butt in here. Thank you very much. Yes, all of these that you mentioned, we are going to look at some of the salient issues. We're looking at agriculture or looking at power sector, some of those few salient issues touching maybe about 5 of these sectors that you mentioned. But I want to know personally, as a policy consultant, one who have who somewhat an institution in that level too, what excites you especially?
I'm particularly excited about the will we want to deal with certain critical economic distortion. One of it is subsidies, the other one is monetary policy.
Oh, I think there's a friction in the network. Can you hear me clearly?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Oh yes, this is better. Please go on.
Okay. Particularly.
Oh no, it has come again. Probably just give us a moment. Let's call you and rectify that problem and give you a call again.
Hello.
Yes, welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. Yes, you were talking about what exactly excites you in the economy policy or in the economy during the inauguration and speech you gave, and that's where you're taking your line of thought from.
Okay, I think I'm particularly excited about the willingness to confront a couple of monsters that have been around with us forever. One of it is fuel subsidy. The other one is the foreign exchange convergence. We have these multiple exchange rates that are totally distorting the economy. We also have the fuel subsidy, which has remained a monster that nobody wants to touch since 1977 when subsidy was introduced. So I'm hoping that we can get through those 2 major reforms in the economy.
Okay, there's this question, most especially coming from the aspect of fuel subsidy that you just touched, and some Nigerians, including economic experts, who thought that if the president came in and in his inaugural speech just said fuel subsidy is gone, and the previous administration didn't put anything in place concerning the complete revamping of the any of the refineries in Nigeria. Do we see in this administration, do you perceive or have any anticipation that in the next 8 months, in the next 6 months, any of our refineries might be functioning optimally, let's about 75 or 80%, and monies that are going to be gained from subsidy removal will run into trillions? Do you perceive to see that reflecting in the economy and any of the sectors of the economy?
Well, my expectations will be that the gains that we will make will reflect in several sectors of the economy as he has committed to. Of course, the announcement at the inaugural speech, or in the inaugural speech, caused a panic in the market. Immediately after he made the comment, people jumped out of their homes and headed for the filling station to go and buy fuel. Of course, for a couple of weeks before that time, people have been anticipating this because the issue of subsidy removal had been a promise by the three frontline contestants in that particular election. The three of them had been emphatic that fuel subsidy must go. So people were already getting apprehensive. How will it play out? So for a couple of weeks before that time, we saw that little build up of queues. But upon that announcement, it was as if half of Lagos or Nigeria jumped on the road and headed for the filling station. And we saw how that played out over the next couple of days.
Yes.
Of course, things started to adjust. Immediately the price was adjusted. The queues literally disappeared because of the dramatic increase that the price represented. So the issue of I want to quickly go and buy the cheap fuel so that I can have fuel to use disappeared totally off the table. What is now left, in my opinion, is that we now need to be able to address issues of how to moderate the burdens that the removal of this subsidy will create. There is a way that it will leave in its trail certain pains about transportation, pains about disposable income, where a larger chunk of people's disposable income will now have to go into transportation, and probably for those who need to fuel the so-called Abekapas and neighbor generator. All those things will have an effect on especially the lowest rung of the ladder. So what are we going to put in place to cushion all those things and help Nigerians have a soft landing on this fuel subsidy removal? I believe that is what we need to work on. The engagements are ongoing. And I want to believe they're also headed in the right direction. Labour has given his laundry list to the government.
Yes. But do you recently, the president just instructed, he met with the Nigerian Governors Forum headed by Abdurrahman Abdulrazak of Kwara State. And whilst the president met with them, he gave a direct instruction to the vice president and said that the vice president who heads the National Economic Council and the National Economic Council itself, which incorporates all governors and the Central Bank of Nigeria and other co-opted institutions, that they should work around the palliatives to cushion the effect. And we all know that we got about $800 million from the World Bank as palliative to serve this purpose. Do you think this will suffice?
You see, that step is very important. It is very important because the governors are critical stakeholders in whether the project will succeed or not. They are also critical stakeholders from the perspective of the fact that a lot of the states have been incapacitated by the reduced revenues. Because the amount that is distributed to them has been reducing by virtue of, and subsidy is one of the ways by which that income of the state will increase. In fact, there was a point when NNPC was not even bringing anything to the table at all. Now, apart from that, some of the items on the shopping list of the NLC include things like minimum wage. when minimum wages increase, who are the people that will implement it across Nigeria? It is the governors that will drive it at their respective states. So these people are critical stakeholders, and they must ensure that we have this discussion and we're able to put on the table the necessary adjustments and palliatives, including probably the $800 million that we are talking about. The problem I have with $800 million is that the beneficiary database, in my opinion, we need to validate it. Otherwise, from what we have seen historically, half of this money might just end up in private pockets. There is no big deal about validating a database. You can just call people, spend a little bit. In fact, you can spend out of $800 million. Just spend a tiny piece, give it to a credible organization. Maybe it's even one of the big five. If you even give it to myself, I will deliver on it. We can validate database. Let's validate it and ensure that as part of our intervention, if we need to deploy that money, that it will go to the right people and not to people to 50% to individual pockets who don't need to validate.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, we are due for a break, and the break is going to be very, very short. So please, Bola, stay on the line. Let's go on a break for about 30 seconds. Then we'll come back to take the next section of our conversation. It's on record where every word matters. And if you are listening to us, you want to call in to give your own perspective while listening to our guests in the program. The number to call is 0700-1021-1021, and that is 0700 1021 1021. You can send WhatsApp messages to our WhatsApp line on 0907 224 5018 0907 224 5018. It's on record where every word matters. We'll be back in a moment. Do stay with us.
If it's public opinion, expert analysis, information that matters to you, we have it on record Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. on High Impact 102.1 FM. Call us 0700 1021 1021. WhatsApp 0907 224 5018.
Let's discuss big stories from the dailies that caught your attention during the week on The Big Five. Every Saturday from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. on High Impact 102.1 FM. To share your views, call 0700-1021-1021 on WhatsApp 0907-224-5018. Let's hear your thoughts on The Big Five.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. It's on record where every word matters. We are looking at the economic policy and setting the economic agenda for the administration. Bola Ahmed Asiwaju, and we have been having a conversation with a policy analyst and a policy consultant, Bola Olojade. Welcome once again to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. And let's go to the next aspect of our conversation this morning, and it borders on what the critical sectors that an average Nigerian, has held as a yardstick, to measure government performance in the economic sense of it. And these sectors include the power sector, the health sector, the agricultural sector, transportation, education, manufacturing, and creation of jobs for the teeming populace. So let us look at agriculture. When the policies of the economy, when the government was saying we will have this, and for Nigeria, the previous administration, Muhammadu Buhari was saying that he shut the borders for the purpose that Nigerians like patronizing foreign goods. and for they like bringing in rice from the states that are contiguous to Nigeria, spanning from Cameroon, Niger, Benin Republic, Chad, and thereabout. You shut the borders for that purpose, so that we can manufacture what we eat and eat what we manufacture. In this current administration, do you see Bola Ahmed Tinubu sustaining that path? Probably not by shutting the borders, but towing a different line of economic policy to achieve this, where we produce what we eat.
Yes. There are a few areas in our agriculture that require our attention. One of it is the issue of yield per hectare.
Yield
so
what?
You have a yield per hectare.
Okay.
So if a farmer cultivates a hectare of land, how many tons of a particular agricultural product?
Sorry, Bola Olojede. I think we are losing. There's a friction. It's like something is interrupting our smooth conversation. Hello, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, hey, yes, that's fine. We can hear you clearly now.
Okay.
Yes.
So I was saying that one area that requires our attention with agriculture is the yield. Yield has to do with what a farmer is able to bring out of a hectare of land that he has cultivated. In Nigeria, our yield has been extremely poor and uncompetitive. So you take the issue of rice. A Nigerian farmer on his own hectare of rice produces probably an average of about 2 metric tons or 2 tons per hectare. When you go to China, you see the production of rice rising as much as 6 tons per hectare. In Egypt, it is 8 tons per hectare. So you now have to ask yourself, how come a farmer in Egypt is able to have 8 tons from a hectare, but the average that we have in Nigeria is barely 2 tons per hectare? Something is wrong right there. And what will help us to fill that gap is in agricultural research, science and research. That is number one. Number two, farming practices. We must reinvent our farming practices. Things are, another very good example, let's use that rice. Today, according to the last rice report that I read, Nigeria is able to produce only about 55% of the rice that we consume.
Okay.
But think about the fact that our yield is only 2 tons per hectare. If we double that yield, that 55 will easily become 110. And Nigeria can swing from being a net importer, because if we are producing only 55, it means that we need to bring in 45 from outside. We can flip from being an importer of rice to being an exporter of rice, even to the sub-region. So issues of yield, and then issues of value addition. I made the specific example of cocoa production.
Yes.
Where Africa produces 75%, but we only take 5% of the profit in the global economy. So we have to move away from just producing primary products, but being able to add value. Look at tomatoes. Tomato that was 12 naira per basket in February, that same basket is now 40,000, from 12,000 to 40,000 in 3 months. What has happened? Seasonality is one of the issues that has happened. Of course, there were issues of certain diseases that affected tomatoes.
Okay.
But seasonality is a major problem. And we can deal with it.
Okay.
Because we have what it takes. We have the land, we have the water.
Okay. Mr. Gbalao, now in this parts, we see, I will want to, because if I continue on this line, we might just use agriculture and end the program with it, but I don't want us to do that. However, there's a very, very critical sector, because agriculture is very, very big. Gbalao Olojede, have you looked at this particular policy during Buhari's administration that Nigeria, including other African countries, signed, and it is tagged the African Continental Free Trade Zone area? Every other country within the continent that signed that bill They were waiting for Nigeria to sign it. In fact, when Buhari actually hesitated in signing the bill, they were lobbying the presidents of other countries, ministries of trade and investment, and foreign diplomats from other African countries were lobbying the former president, because they see Nigeria as the market where we have the teeming population that can consume all the products that will be finding their way legally or illegally into the country. Do you think this current administration is, putting an eagle eye or fixing its lengths there while formulating its economic policy, so that we will not be at the receiving end or serve as a dumping ground for other products that were produced in other African countries?
Of course, the administration is already talking about intra-Africa trade, and AFTA, which is what you are referring to, is a critical part of what will make that possible. You see, the hesitation of the former president was misinterpreted largely, the hesitation to sign AFTA. The question you must ask yourself is, it is not enough to just sign the agreement. What do you have to offer Africa? That is the main question. It is you after you sign the agreement, okay, then you sign it. Then other people start bringing goods into your own economy. What have you as Nigeria? What do you have to offer the rest of Africa in terms of product? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So we need to develop that productive base such that we have enough to feed ourselves and then to export. And like I said over and over again, beyond now exporting those primary products, we now have to be able to use industrialization to trigger value addition and be able to export value-added products. That is the way we can benefit the most from AFTA. As it is today, AFTA has been signed, but there is nothing happening because there is still nothing to offer to those countries that are in Africa. Nothing.
Hello, are you there?
I'm right here.
Yes, okay.
A country that is producing 55% of its rice consumption, for example, the thing never reach out to chop. What thing he won't give other people? What is he going to export to the rest of Africa?
Okay. Now, thank you so much. So we can briefly touch other sectors. Now, Nigerians feel that when there is the existence, when we have agriculture, one of the reasons why agriculture can thrive, or some of the shortcomings you gave, while the agricultural sector is not really expanded, and you said the per yield of the 1 hectare, while we are getting a very, very low number compared to other African countries, could it also be attached to security or insecurity? Because even while the president was talking about this with the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, he said there is no country, and including Nigeria, will never attain the economy it seeks without taking care of insecurity. Do you see a strong political will to nip it in the bud, to nip insecurity in the bud, which serve as a very, very strong hold to limiting or restraining the current administration from achieving all it seeks to achieve?
Yes. In that inaugural speech, the president spoke, in fact, when he started to break down the speech into several segments, the first segment he addressed was security. And he spoke about changing our security doctrine and architecture as well, to be able to ensure that we can fight insecurity to a standstill. In fact, defeat insecurity, that is the real thing. Like you rightly observed, insecurity is part of what is affecting production in Nigeria, including food production. And it is not just food production. I was told, reliably informed by someone who is in position to inform me, that the contractor for Kaduna Refinery, which is Daewoo, has refused to move to site to go and start the revamp of the Kaduna Refinery because of insecurity. So insecurity is not just, it even goes beyond food. It is the fact that there are several other critical issues that we may not be able to address if we don't address insecurity. So we are all waiting with bated breath to see the new dimensions that the current administration will bring into that space. Of course, his first visit after he has assumed office was to go to the counter-terrorism office in Aso Rock, right there.
Yes.
to go and have a meeting, and there's also been a meeting with the security top brass.
Yes.
It is a mission that must be accomplished for us to deliver Nigeria.
Yes, it looks as if all these sectors that we mentioned are interwoven, and all of them depends on each other to flourish. That because if insecurity is not dealt with, agriculture will not improve. The health sector, of course, has its own challenge. But let's go to power. One of the the promise that the Tinubu administration exudes, most especially for the teeming youths or unemployed people, is that jobs will be provided. How can this administration handle that without directly tackling power supply or electric power? Because at the moment we are not even generating up to 10,000 watts, or let's say even 7,000 megawatts. So what sort of policy can turn the tides around in the in the energy sector? In the power sector, rather.
Yeah, the president apparently have been very passionate about the issue of gas, and I'm hoping that now that he's in position of power, those his ideas about how we need to make our gas resources count for us will be part of what he will unleash into the power sector. We are a gas country, not even an oil country. We have much more gas than oil. But deploying this gas to turn our turbines and generate electricity has not been something we have succeeded at for over 40, 50 years of our lives. Now, he has certain foundations that has been laid that he can leverage upon immediately and take to higher heights.
Okay.
One of it is the attempt to optimize the chain, the electricity chain. You have the generation, the transmission, and the distribution.
Yes.
What we have the capacity to generate today, we do not have the capacity to transmit it. What we can transmit, we do not have the capacity to distribute. So there is a series of optimality within the electricity. Part of what the cement contract was meant to address was optimizing that chain in itself. We also saw pictures of equipment that were being brought in by Siemens about some months ago. Hopefully, it will pursue that agenda and start, first of all, from the lowest hanging fruit. The lowest hanging fruit is to optimize what we already have. We are generating much more than what the consumer eventually gets in Nigeria today. So optimize that. Let's say our generation is 10,000 megawatts. But the consumer today is getting between 2,500 and 4,000. Can we make sure that we're able to pipe down the 10,000 or 9,000 out of the 10,000 to reach to the consumer? If we do that alone, I can assure you that as far as individual and small businesses are concerned in Nigeria today, everybody will have life. Then we now move into industrial usage, which is those are huge consumer, and we can begin to build on that.
Okay, but just within the space of 4 minutes, I want to make sure that we're able to target 2 sections, or if not 3, of what we have remaining. Because what we just talked about, electricity, has direct implications on manufacturing, of course, which is just what you touched about, that can provide the teeming job, availability of jobs to the teeming Nigerian population. Transportation. Transportation. We know that the rail system, I would say, in Nigeria is still in the burden state. Do you see us if you look at this, where do you think we can get to within the space of 4 years of this administration in our transportation blueprint?
I want to see a situation in which the current government will build significantly on the works that have been started in the previous administration in the transportation infrastructure, rails and roads. Beyond that, there are other things that we must begin to introduce. I'm glad that Lagos State is pioneering issues of electric
vehicle
buses.
Okay.
Electric buses are already in Lagos. I saw one in a video moving yesterday. Those kind of initiatives must be seen to the very end, to deliver value for the country. There is the issue of CNG, which is coming up all over again.
Yes.
As now part of the subsidy removal thing. It is something worthy of attention as well. And the reason is simple. We have a lot of gas in this country. Let us be able to make it count for us, even in developing our transport infrastructure into what will be able to take us to where we need to go to. As of today, we are far away from where we need to be as far as transportation infrastructure is concerned.
Okay, quickly and lastly, let's talk about education. We know of the incessant strike that normally bedevils every administration, whilst a lot of people will point accusing fingers at the academic staff union of universities. The role of the government is something that can be, is not something that will be undermined or thrown away as if it is unimportant. So what's your anticipation in that regard? Do we see ASUU getting all of the previous demands that they've set before the previous administrations in this administration to make sure that it's very, they minimize this, drastically minimize their, industrial, activities like, their strikes, or we don't have any at all in this 4 years? Is that a reality or something that can be achieved?
From what I'm seeing, I think this administration will take a totally different turn from what things have been historically as far as tertiary education is concerned. I remember that through the campaign period up until now, this administration or the president has been speaking about issues of student loans.
Yes.
When someone is speaking about student loans, it means that that person is not thinking in the dimension of free tertiary education or near free tertiary education like what we currently have. It means that he's thinking in the direction of certain elements of school fees, so that the funding model that we are used to might change under the current administration. That is what I foresee. However, the heart of the matter is that the stakeholder engagement. He has also promised us that he will not rule over us, that he will always engage with us. That is the promise of the president. So critical stakeholders like the university administrators and the lecturers, and then all other stakeholders, including parents and the students and government, will need to sit down and chart a brand new funding model for Nigerian education. We must invest. And we have not invested enough in education in this country. We have not.
Okay. I was even tempted to say, can you do this in 30 seconds? What about the ASUU? What about the ASUU, the part that they always demand for, apart from tackling the loans that could be given to students to assuage the hardship? What about ASUU, the demand for salary increment, the control of university, the hazard allowances, the IPPIS issue? These are things that are still on ground.
I believe part of the reform that we're going to see is the rights reward for people who are in that segment. And rights reward will address what you are speaking to.
Okay.
In my opinion.
All right.
Yes.
This is on record where every word mattered. And of course, Bola Olojede, a policy expert, a policy consultant, has given us policy agenda, most especially within the confines of the Nigerian economy, that the new administration should take eagle eye on. And this is where we draw the curtain on the program this morning. Bola Olojede, thank you so much for your time with us this morning on record.
Thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure.
Have a great day.
And you too. And that's where we draw the curtain. My name is Oyimpriye Krumale. Many thanks for listening.
Welcome to On Record.